This AI automation system that I built in N8N acts as my AI content consultant. It has completely taken away the guessing that comes with being a content creator. I now have access to all of my necessary statistics, weekly analysis emails, and a database that stores everything that I need to know to improve my content creation week over week. It tells me what's working, what's not working, and what to improve going forward. Not only am I going to give you a node by node breakdown of the system, I'm also going to give it to you for free in my free school community called the AI Growth Lab. It scrapes all of my social media profiles, extracts all the useful data, stores it all in a database, and even sends me a weekly analysis email. This has completely changed how I go about my content creation. So without further ado, let's jump in. So first, let me just show you guys how you can even get access to this template and import it into your own N8N. So as we're going along with the build, you can have the template right in front of you as well. Click the link in the description. It'll be a link to my free school called the AI Growth Lab. Go ahead and click join and you'll be let in very shortly. Head over to the classroom. It'll be in the builder's vault. And by the time the video is up, it'll be called like AI Content Consultant. Once you download the template, go back to your N8N workflow. Click these three lines over here at the top. Click import from file. And then whatever you name the file when you download it, it will then pop up into your workflow exactly like this. And if you don't even have an N8N account yet, I have a link in the description that you also can use to create an N8N account. That way we can walk through this together. So the first thing you're going to see is two different workflows. This one is our content statistic updater, and this one is like our AI consultant system. So what we're actually doing in this system is we are scraping the socials that are important to you. So in this case, I have a school community, I run a YouTube channel, and I also run a TikTok profile. Now, this system is schedule based, so we have it running on a custom schedule. I have it running every Sunday night. Every Sunday night, what's going to happen is it's going to scrape my school community and check and see how many active school members I have. The next thing it's going to do is get my YouTube channel, and it's going to grab all the videos from the last 7 days that I posted. It's going to get the transcripts and also all of the data, like likes, shares, favorites, comments, every engagement statistic there is. Next thing I'm going to do is just get my active subscriber count. And then down here, I'm scraping my TikTok profile, getting all the TikToks I've posted in the last 7 days. And you guessed it, all the engagement stats as well. Down here, I'm also getting my follower count for my TikTok profile. And then this last node down here, all I'm doing is just creating what's called a week label, which we'll dive more into when we get into like the Airtable base. Then all that data, when it's done being scraped, then gets fed into this merge node that then gets aggregated into a single item. Now this goes down two separate paths. This path is the calculation of the weekly stats, which is basically seeing how many likes I got this week, how many shares I got, how many comments I got total. The next thing that it calculates is how many subscribers did I add week to week, how many school members did I add from last week to this week? How many TikTok followers did I add from last week to this week, etc. Up here is actually our AI content consultant. And what this LLM is tasked with doing is taking all of this data and last week's data and performing an analysis. Now, what it does with that analysis is it outputs it in an HTML style email as shown in the intro to this video. It gives me my top performing videos, my metrics, my top performing topics, what worked, what didn't work, advice moving forward on what I should continue to do, what people are liking and what they aren't liking. That way, week by week, I can continue to improve my content creation. And if you look over here to the left as well, I gave you just a nice sticky note here outlining everything that's going on and also links to everything that you need to have set up to be able to configure this workflow to yourself. The APIs that are required, how to set up the YouTube or any Google APIs, you need to watch this before. The Airtable base that you can copy as well once I show you the Airtable base, exactly how it works, how to make it work on your first try. I even give you sticky notes that tell you what's happening in each section of the workflow. All right, now moving up to our content stats updater. Now, I also have this one running on a schedule, but a much different one. This one is meant to keep our statistics up to date as current as possible. So what it does is every single 5 minutes, it's going to get my active school members, it's going to get my active subscriber count, and it's going to get my active TikTok profile follower count. All it does is merge those into one item, search for our record in our database, which is going to be my previous count for all of these numbers, or 5 minutes ago count for all these numbers, and then it just updates it with the new ones. Now, sometimes it doesn't change, but if I get a follower between those 5 minutes, it'll update it in my records. That way, I'm always up to date on what all three of my socials are at as far as subscriber count, follower count, and active members. All right, enough of me blabbing. Now it is time to give you the node by node breakdown. Hopefully by now you already have the template inputted into your own N8N workflow. That way you can follow along with me and go node by node and have it set up for yourself. First step that you need to take is change your date and time settings. That way the schedule runs on your time zone. I have mine set to America Phoenix, obviously, because that's where I live. So you guys set it to whatever it is. You just got to come into here and search up wherever you live, country, city, whatever you guys have in other countries. But first step is first, just make sure your time is configured to where you live. All right, I have this running on a custom trigger interval. Okay, the expression I have is 0, 21, star, star, 0. Basically, all this means is on every Sunday at 2100, it is going to trigger this workflow. 2100 also stands for 9 p.m. All right, so let's dive into the top portion here. So the first node that we have is getting our school members. Now, all this is going to be is an HTTP request node, and it's nothing fancy. All it is I literally just set the method to get pasted in my school community URL. So if you guys have a school community URL, all you got to do is paste it in here. These headers will already be configured for you, so no worries. The reason why I had to add these headers is because when I was sending this GET request to just the URL without any headers, it was getting blocked because browsers are pretty good nowadays against like AI softwares trying to scrape things. So I had to send over these headers that I got from ChatGPT, and it goes through pretty much 99% of the time. Now, the data we get here is what is called HTML. This is not good for us. We can't really do much of this. It's pretty hard to read through it. So what we did is we just have this convert HTML to Markdown node. It's just going to output clean Markdown so that way we can read it and easily understand the contents of the data. So the next thing you're going to see here is this set node. So we have this expression here that extracts the number of active members from the Markdown. So JSON.data.match, and then this expression here that looks for members and also the numbers. You can see here the output is 30. Don't really worry about it. Just leave the expression as is. It works perfectly fine. Moving on to scraping the YouTube channel. So this is one of the credentials that you are going to have to set up. This is actually the first node of credentials that you're going to have to set up. So all you're going to have to do is click on this link over here. In this video right here will tell you exactly how to get set up with Google Cloud, how to set up all your Google APIs with YouTube and everything like that. I go very into detail on this video right here. Or if you don't want to click that video, which I highly recommend you do, N8N is really good. They have these docs right here that you can click that brings you to complete instructions on how to get set up with Google Cloud and all of their APIs. The only thing that you guys need to configure in this node is the channel ID. Now, what this expression down here is doing, you guys should already have this in your node, is it is only pulling videos from 7 days prior. Because we are on a week-to-week analysis basis, we don't want to pull anything further than 7 days back. So once you have your channel ID pasted in here, then you're good to go and move on with the next node. But you can see here the data that it output was just some video URLs. Not any like the likes or the shares. So we had to make a custom API call to Google's APIs, the YouTube V3 videos API specifically. And what this does is grab the content details, the snippet or the description, and the statistics for each of the last 7 days of videos that we grabbed. It uses the video ID for each video to know which one to grab the statistics for. Now, if you were able to get set up with this node, then your API key should be the exact same for this one. So all you have to do is take that same API key that you used in the last YouTube node and just paste it here and you're all set. So if you can see over here on the right, now we have all of the videos and we also have the view count, the like count, the favorite count, comments, everything. You can see here we have the title, the channel ID, the description, everything that we need to do our analysis. But to take it a step further, we not only take all that data, we even feed in the transcripts of each video. So if you can see here, this is Appify. So if you go over here to the sticky note, I leave a link for Appify's website. That way you can get set up with their API. Just make a free account. They give you an API key. Very easy. After you click the link and you make an Appify account, all you need to do to configure this node is paste in your API key here, and the body request is already configured for you. All it's doing is taking the URL for each video and getting the transcript for each video. So if you see here, we got 6 videos and we have 6 different transcripts. The reason we do this is that we can give our LLM or our AI content consultant as much data as possible. because it can't really tell what the video is about just based on the title. But if we give it the entire transcript, everything we talked about in the video, it can accurately form its analysis based on everything. The next thing we have here is a set node. Don't worry, these are only red because we have every node pinned. When you unpin everything and you get ready to run it, it won't be red, it'll be green. All we're doing here is extracting all the important information and just renaming it to keys that we remember or that are easy to find. Like video title, we just drag over the title. We're getting the description, the views, the likes, comments, favorites, and transcript for each one of the videos. So now for each video, you have the title of the video, the description, how many views, the likes, comments, favorites, and even the transcript to go along with it. All right, moving on to the next step of the process is this get channel stats node. All this is doing is literally getting our active subscriber count. Yes, we have view count. Yes, we have video count. But all we really care about is our active subscribers. So all you have to do is that channel ID that you put into the other node, the one that you put in to configure this first node over here, just paste it back into this node and it'll already be set up for you. All right, the next node is another Appify scraper. So if you already set up your API key with Appify, same thing. The way you configure this TikTok scraper from Appify is at the very end of this URL, you just need to paste in that same Appify API key here and your TikTok profile at here. Now, what this is doing is scraping our entire TikTok profile. It's getting our ID, all of our videos, following, fans, hearts, every stat for every single video, just everything there is to know about our TikTok profile. It's scraping our entire profile. Now, we have two different paths that we want this TikTok data to go down. This first path is another set node. All we're doing is extracting the stuff that we care about from this big blob of data. We care about the description of the video. We care about how many likes it got, how many saves it got, how many shares, and we also care when it was posted because we only want videos that were posted in the last 7 days. So you can see here now for the last 31 videos that I've posted, or all 31 videos that I've posted, it's very clean now. We get the description and all the stats for each one of the videos. But we don't want all 31 videos. We only want videos that were posted in the last 7 days. This will already be configured with you. It's a simple JSON expression that basically just compares the time value versus this value. And if this one is greater than this one, then that means it was in the last 7 days. If you want to learn more about this, all you got to do is copy it, paste it into ChatGPT, and have it explain to you what exactly is happening. As you can see here, we posted 6 videos in the last 7 days and all the statistics for it. All right, the second path that our TikTok data goes down is this combine items code node. So all this code is doing is taking all of this data here and just combining it into one giant item. The reason we had to do that is because we just want to extract the active follower account. The reason we wanted all this to be one item is that way we can extract the follower count for our TikTok profile. At the time of this recording, it was 232 followers. So up here, we have the last 7 days of videos and all the statistics. Down here, we have our TikTok profile's active follower count. Now we are going to merge them together. So we'll have our last 7 days of videos, and at the bottom here, we'll have our active follower count for TikTok. Now this last node here in this section actually is going to lead me into the Airtable base itself and where we store all of our statistics. But first, let me show you what it does. All this is going to do is create a week label. This is how we are going to identify what week our analysis is on. So the next thing I need you to do is come over to this Airtable here. This is going to tell you exactly how to create an Airtable account and get an API. After you create your Airtable account, then you're going to click on this link here called Airtable Base. It's going to take you to the exact base that I use in this video. That way you can copy it and import it into your own Airtable. That way you have it to go along with the template, and that way you have everything that we have in this video, so that way we can go through it all together. So remember, just create your API key and your Airtable profile here, and then head down to the Airtable base. That way you can actually copy the base that I use into your own Airtable. So let's look at this base. Let's look at our database and see exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about week label. So what this is going to do, here, let's jump back into the code here. And mind you, I vibe coded all this. It's not necessarily needing to know how to code, but it's needing to know what's possible with code. So I told ChatGPT that I wanted something that can label it by year and the number of the week that we're on in that year. So this code right here, all it does is it takes the current year and also the week number that we are on for the year of 2025, which if you head over to weekly content KPIs is exactly how we store each of our weeks. And in this database, we are storing our subs added from week to week, our followers added from week to week, our school members added from week to week, likes, comments, favorites, likes. For all platforms, you can see here we have TikTok comments, TikTok saves, TikTok shares from this week to last week, how many subs, and then we add the total amount of likes we got this week, the total amount of comments, favorites, TikTok likes, TikTok comments, TikTok saves, and even TikTok shares. Now, these aren't from week to week. These ones are just like, hey, how many total did we get this week? And then over here, you can see at the time of the analysis what our total subs are, what our total followers are, and what our total school members are. We head over to our current metrics, which if you remember was the top workflow, which I'll go through. It then every 5 minutes, like I said, is going to update this table, our current metrics, with our sub count, school members, TikTok followers. So quick note here, when you add this base to your own Airtable and you run this workflow, the way you make this work is it is ran on a weekly basis. So before you turn it on and start trying to run it every Sunday, you need to manually add your total sub count, TikTok followers, and active school members currently before you run it. That way, when it runs next week, it has data to base it off of. So if you see here, this row is empty. The reason why it's empty is because I couldn't calculate how many I've added or followers I've added or members I've added from the week prior, because I don't really know. That's what the system does, is it calculates it. That's the problem that I solved. But to be able to give the next week some data to work off of, like to be able to calculate how many I've added in each of these categories, I needed to give it a baseline of data to work with. So the way you set this up is you just create your row, and then all you need to do is label it with the correct week prior. So you'll just run that code and see what the current week is, and then it'll run it for last week. That way you can just subtract one from the number and know that, okay, this was last week's number. And then all you're going to do is put your current subs, your current followers, and if you have a school community, your current school members. Okay, so once we have all of that data, we are then going to merge it and aggregate it into one single item. You can see here what it looks like in our merge node. We have 16 items that look just like this. Okay, now it gets a little confusing. I know there's a lot of data going on, but it is all necessary stuff. And then we are just combining it into one single item. And the reason we combine it into one single item is because we want all of these nodes to run one single time. That's why this aggregate node in N8N is a super powerful tool to become proficient at and know when to use it. Because if we didn't do this and we had 16 separate items, each one of these nodes would run 16 different times, one for each item. So imagine this. Look at all the tokens that are getting imported into our LLM over here. So all this plus this entire system prompt. So the amount of tokens that would run and cost just to have this system run without this aggregate node would be ridiculous. And also I want you to think of all the records. It would create one record for each item as well in our Airtable base. It would send 16 emails. This aggregate node right here is very, very important. Okay, let's go down this first path first, our actual AI consultant, the reason you're here. So this code node is called last week's label. Now let me explain why I named it that. This one is get week label. So this code is essentially doing the same thing that this one's doing. All we're doing is subtracting 1 from the week number. So you can see here week 44 and not week 45. That way we can execute this search records node using last week's label. The reason we are trying to get last week's record is so we can get last week's statistics. So all this is going to do is grab the previous week's record and all the statistics from that record. This is only going to be red because it's pinned. Once you unpin everything, it'll go to green. But the reason that we're doing this is when we feed in all of this data into the LLM, all the current data, this week's data, and we give it access to last week's data, it then uses this very extensive system prompt to form and output its analysis in HTML so that way we can get that analysis email that was shown to you in the beginning of the video. So let's go through some of the prompt here. So we have an analysis framework here, a performance overview, basically telling it the total views, YouTube average engagement rate, the channel growth, how many subscribers, followers, community members, TikTok engagement action summaries. We want it to output the top performers. We want it to rank by engagement rate, not just views. We also wanted to know, hey, which video had the highest view count, even if the engagement is lower than some of these ones. Any videos with exceptionally high comments. For TikTok, we want the most engaging post by total actions, and we don't want it to determine the true best performer without the view data. It uses transcripts to figure out which topics resonated with my audience the best. Platform differences, which one worked better? Did YouTube work better? Did TikTok short form work better? Did our school CTA work? Are people actually joining the community? Key insights. High views but low engagement, comment patterns, topic clusters, tutorial versus conceptual content performance. It also gives us strategic recommendations, specific and actionable, based on actual data patterns. prioritized by potential impact in future, realistic to implement. And then we even give it the exact HTML style that we want it to output its analysis in. HTML is basically how the email looked the way it did, with all the colors and everything like that and font. So these critical instructions are very important. These were added after I've ran through the system hundreds of times, and things that it was doing incorrectly. So we give it these things called critical instructions or guardrails to prevent it from doing the things that it was doing bad. This looks like maintaining the HTML structure, not changing the HTML from email to email, just to keep a consistent structure. Data accuracy. Everything must be strictly based on metrics. Do not invent or assume any data, only based on real statistics. TikTok limitations. Always acknowledge that the view data is unavailable, which we didn't have our TikTok views. Engagement rate priority. Rank YouTube videos by engagement rate first. We don't really care about the views. We just want to know who's engaging with our videos. A video with 500 views and 5% engagement outperforms one with 1,000 views and 1% engagement. We told it the growth calculation formulas. The tone is professional but conversational. Keep insights concise but meaningful. Each bullet point should only be 1 to 2 sentences. We don't need giant paragraphs for each single point that it makes. We need it to be very, very specific, and we need the complete HTML. We also gave it the formula, how it's supposed to calculate each one of the statistics, and then we use these patterns for the analysis. And that's where we get this, which is our analysis inside of the HTML that we wanted it to output it in. Now you can see here our LLM uses what's called Open Router. And the reason why I used Open Router is because you have access to so many models. And in this case, we're using Gemini 2.5 Flash because of its token window. It has a high token window. It's cheap and it's fairly intelligent as well. Now to set up your Open Router account credentials, I gave you a link on this sticky note. Go ahead and click it. It takes you right to the N8N documentation on how to set up your Open Router account and API. So once it outputs our HTML analysis, we then get our email sent to your email here. So the only thing you have to do to configure this node is just literally type in your email right here, and you will get the HTML style email. So let's look at the email. We have our weekly content report for the week 45 of 2025. We have a performance snapshot here telling us how many YouTube views we got, our average engagement rate on YouTube across 7 videos, our total YouTube subscribers, how many we got added this week, our total TikTok followers, how many we added this week, our school community active members, how many we added in the week, our top performing videos on YouTube with the engagement percentage calculated, the most viewed video, even though it's stuck to the, hey, views aren't always the most important, but engagement is what we care about most. TikTok engagement action, it gave us our most engaging post by total actions on TikTok. It gave us what worked this week, areas that we could improve on, a key insight paragraph, and recommendations for next week. All right, so let's check out this second path that the data goes down. This first node here is a code node, and we wanted to add up the metrics. So after some back and forth with Claude Code, we ended up landing on this script here. And what this is doing is taking all of this data here, and it's able to recognize and also add up YouTube likes, the total YouTube comments of the week, total YouTube favorites, likes, TikTok comments, TikTok saves, and TikTok shares from all the videos that we had in the past 7 days on each platform. The reason why I chose to do this with a code node instead of an LLM is because there is zero hallucination. Once you get this script to work, it will work every single time. It will output the correct data every single time. An LLM can hallucinate. You don't want to mess with any wrong data because all of our analysis and everything is based on real statistics. You won't have to change anything with this. It will already be set up for you. So we have our metrics for this week. We then are going to grab our current metrics as it stands of the time of this. So this will be at Sunday at 2100 or 9 p.m. We're going to grab our current YouTube sub count, school members, and TikTok followers from our current metrics table. The next thing we're going to do is run it through this exact same code. We are again going to get last week's label, which is 2025 week 44. We're going to do the same thing we did here, which is search the records or get the row from last week to get all the statistics. All right, on to the next node, which is another set node here. Don't worry, once you unpin everything, once again, it'll all turn green. What we're doing here is we are getting last week's statistics and the current week statistics, and then we're just making it a very, very clean single item. Last week, current. So we get last week's stuff from the search records node using the previous week label that we generated from this code node. We're also getting the current total sub count, school member, and TikTok follower metric to then map them out in this set node. Now you might be thinking, well, what is this add up metrics? All this is like the engagement statistics. We're adding up the likes, comments, favorites, all that stuff, not the actual sub count, follower count, and everything like that. Then we run it through another code node called calculate metrics. Now, what this code node does is it takes last week YouTube count and this week YouTube count, and it subtracts current from last week to get the total amount of subs added in the 7-day span. Same thing with TikTok followers added. Same thing with school members added. You guys won't have to touch anything. It's already mapped out for you, and it will work 10 times out of 10. That is why I went with the code node rather than using like an LLM or something like that. And the last step of this process is actually mapping everything out. So the first item that we're mapping out is the week label. We want to map out what week this is that we just calculated all of our statistics for. So if we head over to the get week label, we are using this node right here, which is 2025 week 45 at the time of this recording. We are also adding the amount of subs that we added from the 7-day span, which was calculated by the calculate metrics node previously, the amount of followers we added, the amount of school members we added. Then from the add up metrics node, which was this code node here, we are mapping out the total engagement statistics across YouTube and TikTok. As you can see, we got 59 total likes, 5 total comments, 775 total TikTok likes, everything that we need to know for how we performed on the week. And then lastly, just from our edit fields for node, which is just 2 nodes back, we're just mapping out the current school member count. And right here, total school members. Now, after this runs through, what this looks like in our database, if we go to weekly content KPIs, you'll see the week label and all the statistics that we just added up and found out. So the subs added, the followers, school members, all the engagement statistics across both platforms, and our total subs, followers, and members at the time of run, which is 2100 every Sunday night. And moving on to the configuration of our content stats updater. I have this set to run every 5 minutes just to ensure that we are always up to date without running the system too many times. And all we did was literally copy and paste this exact part of the system here, which is just scraping your school profile again or your school community, getting all of the HTML, converting all that HTML into Markdown, and then extracting out the active member count with this JSON expression. This next part of this workflow is just getting the channel stats. All you need to do again is just put your channel ID in here. Same thing that we're doing down here. We're just trying to get the active subscriber count. So if you look in the next set node, all it is just extracting the amount of subscribers we have at the current time, which is every 5 minutes. That way we just ensure we are always up to date, especially when we run our every Sunday system. We want to make sure we are at exact numbers. All right, in this last one here, we are doing something almost like what we do down here where we get the followers. But in this case, we don't need the videos like we're doing here. All we care about is the followers. So instead of using Amplify, which costs a little bit of money to run, like 1 cent per run, but still, we just do something even more simple and more reliable, which is the same method we use here, which is a simple get method with the headers. And all you have to do is just replace your profile here with your actual handle. I just added that in there for you. That way you know exactly where your handle is supposed to go, and make sure you leave the @ there as well. So what this is going to do is get all of the HTML for your TikTok profile, and then through some back and forth with Claude Code, I was able to come up with a script that then knows how to extract the stats from all of that HTML. So you can see here we get our active follower count, all this other stuff too, but all we care about is our follower count. We then merge all 3 of these numbers together, so it just looks like this: school members, YouTube subs, and all this data too, but all we care about, like I said, is our follower count. Aggregate it down into one single item. That way we run each node one time. Then we run into a simple set node here where we're just going to map out everything that matters, which, like I said, none of this mattered except our TikTok follower count. Now we have one item that's very clean and looks just like this. We then search records in our current metrics table, which we only have 1 record here always. You never want to add more than 1. Just keep this 1 record here. That way it returns the same record every single time. And then all we do is just update that record, matching it using the record ID here that we created in the table. You can see we created a record ID. That way we know which record we're actually trying to update. And we just map out the new statistics from the next 5 minutes. Sometimes it doesn't change. The system won't break. But let's say in 5 minutes you get 100 subscribers. It will update. That way we are making sure we are always up to date with our current stats. Well, guys, that is it. That is the entire breakdown of this AI content consultant system. I know when you first import it into your N8N and you're looking through all the nodes, you're going to be like, what is going on? It just looks like a bunch of stuff. But once we break it down node by node, it's really not that difficult, especially if you follow all of this stuff on the sticky note here. It will tell you exactly how to set up all your APIs. Especially, I 100% recommend watching this video that I made on how to set up your Google Cloud account, because in my opinion, that is the worst API to set up. So that should be, once you get to configuring the nodes, it should be this one first. You should watch that video. And then obviously all you got to do is set up your Airtable account, clicking the Airtable link and the Airtable base. And once again, guys, I'm giving this template away for completely free inside of my school community, the AI Growth Lab. The link will be down in the description. Go ahead, click join. We'll let you in as soon as we see it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. There'll be plenty more videos like this coming soon. We'll catch you in the next one.